News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm John Tucker.
John, we begin with new developments this morning on global tariffs. Bloomberg News has learned the Trump administration is working to narrow its broad duties on steel and aluminum products. We get more from Bloomberg Global Trade Czar Brendan Murray.
Well, what we know is the Trump administration has acknowledged that the steel and aluminum tariffs that they rolled out in waves last year are overly complicated for a lot of companies and have really created a lot of unintended victims that have to pay these tariffs. They rolled out the first 25% tariff in March of 2025. Then they raised it to 50% in June. And then in August, they extended the scope of the tariffs to include a whole host of maybe hundreds of goods that contain steel and aluminum.
Bloomberg's Brendan Murray says ending or curtailing the derivative tariffs would be a positive step for the U.S.-European Union trade accord.
And meanwhile, Nathan, the Environmental Protection Agency has revoked a key scientific finding that supported U.S. regulations on greenhouse gas emissions. Let's get that story from Washington and Bloomberg's Amy Morris.
The move rescinds a 2009 declaration that carbon dioxide and other gases endanger public health. EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin calls this a major deregulatory action. President Trump says ultimately it saves money.
This action will eliminate over $1.3 trillion of regulatory costs and help bring car prices tumbling down dramatically.
The so-called endangerment finding serves as the legal foundation for a lot of environmental rules, including federal standards for vehicle emissions. Trump says he'll also repeal those. Amy Morris, Bloomberg Radio.
All right, Amy, thank you. On Capitol Hill, it's gone quiet. The Senate has headed out for a week-long recess. The federal government is headed for its second partial shutdown in as many months, and the third since President Trump returned to office. This one will affect only the Department of Homeland Security. The Senate failed to begin debate on a year-long bill for the agency that included no changes to immigration enforcement. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says that would have been unacceptable.
This vote today asked a simple question. Will you rein in ICE's abuses, or will you vote to extend the chaos? Republicans chose chaos, and the Democrats, we refused.
Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says Democrats want immigration agents to wear body cameras and obtain warrants, take off masks, and have limited immunity from lawsuits. Majority Leader John Thune says the White House presented a good faith counteroffer, but he says it looks like the Democrats aren't serious. Under a shutdown, most DHS employees will be expected to work without pay. That includes the Transportation Security Administration, which could mean a strain at the airports.
And more fallout this morning from the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. Goldman Sachs top lawyer Kathy Rembler leaving the firm. This follows a cache of Department of Justice documents showing her links to the sex offender. Rembler, who's going to leave on June 30th, was well known for her time as a White House counsel in Barack Obama's administration. She was hired by Goldman Sachs in 2020 and later became its legal chief.
All right, John, let's get you an update now on the search for Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks since the Today Show host's mother was last seen at her home near Tucson. The FBI has doubled the reward for information leading to her captors to $100,000. And investigators are asking neighbors to share surveillance camera footage of suspicious cars or people they may have seen in the month before she disappeared. This neighbor just hopes they find Nancy Guthrie.
She was the kindest, the warmest, the most giving person I've ever met. And it was passed on to her daughter, Savannah, as well, because that's how Savannah is.
The FBI has also released more information about the masked man seen in surveillance video on Nancy Guthrie's front porch. They now say he is a suspect. He's 5'9" or 5'10", with an average build, wearing a black 25-liter Ozark Trail hiker pack backpack.
And Venezuela is planning to grant more oil production land to Chevron and Spain's Repsol as the Trump administration pushes for private companies to rebuild that nation's energy sector. Sources are telling Bloomberg that officials in Caracas are poised to award the exploration and production blocks as soon as this week. Energy Secretary Chris Wright spoke to Bloomberg's Anne-Marie Hordern about rebuilding the country's oil sector.
I think in the first year, we'll see pretty significant 30-40% growth in Venezuelan oil production this year. You could continue production growth rate at a pretty good clip. Venezuela does have the largest proved oil reserves, which is the technical concept, much larger than the U.S.
Energy Secretary Chris Wright speaking to Bloomberg's Anne-Marie Hordern in Caracas. The Trump administration is expected to issue a general license to allow international oil companies to explore and produce in Venezuela without violating U.S. sanctions. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm John Tucker.
I'm Nathan Hager, and this is Bloomberg.